Welcome to Money News. I'm Kathleen Walter. Joining us now via Skype is Brian Coester, CEO of Coester VMS, a nationwide appraisal company, a housing expert not only on home prices but also understanding how the housing industry and real estate finance markets function in today's environment. Brian joins us now with a look at how student debt is having a huge impact on housing. And Brian, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Brian, there's almost $1 trillion in outstanding student debt, and about a third of that amount is delinquent. Many are calling student debt the new bubble about to burst, but you believe it's also having a huge impact on first-time homebuyers. What is your take and what are your concerns?
Yeah, so it is really kind of the next bubble about to burst, and there's been a lot of studies about that. The biggest thing with student housing is that it really affects the first-time homebuyers market. So if you look at the type of student that would incur a lot of debt, typically they're well-educated, typically they're going to be employed well, and they'd be the optimal person to go out and buy a first-time home. That's really impeding the market. So if they have a debt already, they're servicing that debt, maybe even they're delinquent on that debt, so it's affecting their credit score, so they really can't go out and buy that starter home that they initially ended up renting.
Okay, so how did most students get so into debt and so far behind in their payments, and how did not being able to quickly find employment after graduation exacerbate the problem?
So it's really just a reflection of the economy. So, and the reality is that when it comes to housing, the majority of the housing market is a push-up, right? So you start off renting, then you start off as a first-time home buyer, and then you move on to your second or third home. Well, without that first-time home buyer, the people who have that starter home, that condo, that townhouse, really can't move on because there's no one to buy. Luckily, there is a little shortage in the market right now, so it's not as effective. But that's just now. Long term, once they start building again, it really is going to be a big negative.
Yeah. So given monthly student loan payments and postgraduate jobs being scarce, just how long do you see this having a drag on the real estate market? I mean, how far into the future do you see this weighing down the housing market?
So this will be a factor as long as student housing and student loans are a factor. This is not something that's just going to go away. With the cost of college and the cost of living expenses increasing dramatically, this is not just going to go away. The way it's going to have to be addressed is by fixing the economy, fixing the job market, which could be 5-10 years out, depending. I really don't know exactly, but it is not a short-term thing that 3 years from now everything's going to be okay.
Housing markets seem to be gaining some traction in recovery. How do you see the housing market in general? Has it finally hit bottom, and is it on the path to a sustainable recovery?
The housing market is actually doing about as good as it can right now, and it's going to get significantly better. So if you look at 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, it's really been bad. 2013 is set up to be a really great year, and that should continue to 2014, 15 with a huge built up demand for purchases. I think it would even be better if the student loan issue wasn't such a big issue, but it does look good that 2013 is going to be a good year for housing.
Last question for you, Brian. Yale economist Robert Shiller, architect of the Standard & Poor's Case-Shiller Home Price Index, has said the nation probably won't see a big boom in housing anytime soon, since fewer people are looking for single-family homes but are more enticed by renting. Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, I do disagree with that. I think there's still a huge built-up demand. If you look at any index like that is okay, but the problem is that it doesn't necessarily factor in the psychological aspect of that. You really have a lot of people who still want to buy a home. You still have a lot of people who do have money who want to get into the market, that they've been waiting on the sidelines. I'm an appraiser, own a national appraisal management company, and it's one of these things where the market is shifting. There's a lot of people who want to buy, who have been renting and kind of waded through this storm for the past 3 years. I would say for a first-time home buyer, it's very attractive if you can afford the down payment, if you can service the debt. You've got really, really readily available financing if you're qualified, and the prices are low. So I think it's going to be a good year.
All right, Brian Coester of Coester VMS, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for watching Money News.